Periodically, I have to throw in a reminder that this is a homesteading channel and not just a tractor and chainsaw channel, so there'll be no tractors or chainsaws in this video. I know. But with this particular project, there will be tractor stuff later on. In the next couple of videos, we're going to use the 2025 to dig out some more of the garden and put some raised garden beds, but it's 13 degrees outside with a real feel of like 1. So there's no outside stuff going on. Put the birds out, go back in the house. It's too cold out there. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna start our seeds. Yes, in February, it's time to start thinking about spring.
Think about the future.
So the first step in thinking about spring is starting seeds. And all the things that go along with starting seeds, like what are we gonna grow this year? So let's get into it. So what do we got going on? I have my box of new things that I ordered for this year, and then I have my regular seed storage of stuff that I've grown in the past. Yesterday, in anticipation of today being so friggin' cold, I went ahead, got my starting mix all boiled up, put into the starting seed trays, and started warming up the mats. So you're not putting seeds into cold dirt. The soil is now just about 80 degrees, right where we want it. The starting mats are not absolutely necessary, but they really help. And we've had a lot of success over the last couple of years using them. And we've had so much success with it, I've actually grown, no pun intended, into buying 2 more. These showed up the other day. I like these ones better because the high humidity cap that's on it. The seeds can grow up a little bit higher in here before I have to transplant them, whereas this one, you gotta really pay attention. Once they start bumping up against the humidity dome here, you gotta get them out and transplant them. So I'm kind of excited for these. Seem pretty nice. This was actually a really good deal. I mean, I guess I'll leave it down, a link down in the description, but I believe this one was not from Amazon. I don't remember where we got this one. I think it was Guernseys, whatever that company is. I think it was like $50. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. Like I said, the humidity dome is a little small. Through the power of Amazon and the economy of scale, this set was actually 2 starting trays with 2 heating mats for like $26. I can't say how good or how well they're gonna last. This is on its 3rd season. It absolutely works great. But for half the price for 2 of them, seems like a pretty good deal. They also do this wacky thing where you run your finger across them and the static, I don't know. Anywho, so what are we growing this year? Not knowing exactly what the future will hold, I went ahead and Googled what are the most nutrient-dense foods. In years past, we've done things that were more like fun, like a bunch of different types of tomatoes, different squashes and things like that. Kind of the typical garden fare. This year, I don't know how things are gonna go. So I wanna maximize my space outside with not necessarily fun things, but more things that are gonna be worth their space. We'll go through the seeds in a second, but I've spoken to a number of people who dig homesteading channels, and there's an air of prepperness to it. And I'm always resistant to say homesteading is directly tied to prepping, but it is, let's face it. And while channels like Nut and Fancy and Mr. Guns and Gear and Wrangler Store even are awesome as far as gear reviews and SHTF stuff, the fact remains that the person on YouTube that's gonna keep you alive is Gardner Scott. That soft-spoken Mr. Rogers of the dirt will give you all the information in an easily digestible way to take very, very cheap seeds, 59 cents, and turn it into food that you can grow in your own yard and then save it for when times are lean. Let's leave it at that. So if you don't know who Gardner Scott is, definitely check him out. I have learned everything I know about gardening from him. You want information on how to grow things and stick it out through the lean times, head over to Gardner Scott and he will show you how to do it. So what did we go with this year? Sugar snap peas. First of all, they're delicious. It really ends there. We all like them. Picking them directly out of the garden, I can say last year and the year before that, they actually rarely even make it out of the garden. They're so good, you crack a couple open when you're out there in a nice summer sun. Absolutely delicious raw, delicious cooked. Sugar snap peas are where it's at. doing pumpkins for the kids. You got to have some fun in there. And in the last couple of years, we've grown pumpkins. And there's just something about that kind of end of the growing season work that you put in, and see the smile on your kids' faces, and even some of the neighborhood kids when you give them their own pumpkin from their own backyard. Not necessarily food, but life also needs to continue on, and I really dig these. So we're going with the jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Next is Brussels sprouts, nutrient dense. Not everybody's favorite, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Get away from the way that you used to cook them by cutting them up and boiling them. Have them. Throw them on a flat top or a cast iron, a little bit of bacon fat, bro, you're hooked up. As a pairing to our farm fresh eggs, again, not necessarily a community favorite, but going with some smooth leaf spinach. You kind of see there's a pattern here, a lot of brassicas, but these are incredibly nutritionally dense. You throw some in with some onions and some of your farm fresh eggs, and you have an excellent quiche Lorraine. These are a staple in our house. Carrots. Extremely nutrient dense, relatively easy to grow if the dirt will do it. It's not always the case. One year we tried in a more clayey soil and it had a hard time punching through. Last year in one of the more raised garden beds, these worked out very well. Don't take up a ton of space. You get a decent amount of food, and they're way better than what you get in the store. The center of all memes in the last couple of years, but the fact remains that kale is extremely nutritionally dense. Again, relatively simple to grow, and outside of the thing that holds the bowls in a salad bar, if you cook it the right way or even eat it raw, kale is delicious and can be done right. Ashley has an excellent kale salad recipe. It's really fantastic. This is a no-brainer. Next one is going to be butternut squash. Butternut squash is another thing that we find that we're buying and the prices are going up. We're buying it to work in concert with things that we grow here. You cube up some chicken, a lot of spices, you throw it inside of a butternut squash, you are hooked up. If anyone's interested in any of these recipes, let me know and I'll just pin a comment or something. But you hollow it out, you bake it off, and you could put your chicken and deliciousness in there, and you're eating a vegetable, you don't even realize it. I make an excellent butternut squash soup. Fantastic in the winter and fall time. It's a little Thanksgiving-y, but at the same time, heavy cream, just, you're hooked up. So I actually bought 2 of these because I'm hoping to get a lot, because we actually use a lot of butternut squash. And the cool thing is if you keep the conditions right, butternut squashes will last a long time. I said we'd get to this later. Now I'm going into somewhere where I haven't gone before. We have seeds for shallots. We've got the food down, but we have to make the food taste good. So shallots is going to be one. And then all of our normal, more peas, all of our normal seasonings. Basil, cilantro, parsley, sleeper of the group, dill, absolutely delicious, and oregano. Those are going to go into herb gardens that we're going to put right outside the door so that, you know, dinner time, go out and clip it. They also dehydrate really, really well. All of them dehydrate well. Is it the same as fresh? No, but in December, it rocks. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Finally, the last thing is my secret weapon. I've used this before in the past and it works great. Is gardening as simple as throwing seeds in the ground? In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. This is my secret weapon for our yard. It's the bee feed mix. It's a wildflower mix that I run along the side of the garden. Flowers come up. The bees come around, then they end up going into the garden. Things start cross-homogenating there, and you don't have to really worry about pollination. I also throw some bird seed around in there. Kind of let the animals and the insects do what they're supposed to do. But this has been my secret weapon for the last couple of years. So if you're thinking about starting seeds, you're placing your seed order, get yourself a bag, or this is a 1/4 pound. This is good enough for what I need. Get yourself a bag of some bee feed mix. Have them pollinators come in naturally, and watch your stuff grow. So with all these seed trays, we have about 192 sets to do. That seems like a lot, and now I have space in the other room for when they come out and repot them. Also, depending on our last frost date, our actual one, keeping an eye on like a 10 and 30-day forecast, we also have an indoor grow house. That thing is awesome. It's really useful. The prices on those have gone up significantly because of supply and command. People grow the devil's lettuce in it. It's not the devil's lettuce to me, but I don't know what you could say on YouTube these days. So people are using them for, I guess, their intended purposes. They are grow houses, but they're like inside greenhouses. Fantastic. So if the groundhog is true and we have 6 more weeks of winter and things don't really blow out as fast as you want, we could still keep all the plants alive between this room back here and the indoor grow house. So that's it. The first 72 seeds are set. Give them a couple months and we'll see what happens. At this point is when I used to say, oh, we're freeing ourselves from the bonds of the supermarket monopoly. But I've been to the supermarket recently. Half the stuff isn't even in there. And if it is, it's whack. Or there's one of them. And the whole neighborhood's fighting over it. So we're freeing ourselves from the constraints of supply chain. Could we go with that? Either way, homegrown food is better tasting and probably better for you. No chemicals here. Just chicken poop. So this whole tray, I love shallots. So this whole tray is going to be nothing but shallots. 60 bulbs, hopefully. I saw the prices of shallots the other day, and it was like $5 for like a little baggie of them. It was terrible. And I dig shallots. It's a great mix between like onion and garlic mixed together. Fantastic. So I'm really hoping that these take off. Kind of thinking about it while I poke these little seeds down. We're almost future-proofing. Again, I'm dancing the line on prepping, but we have eggs in the incubator over there from our own flock. See if we can grow them. I've done it with ducks. Let's see if we can grow some chickens. Also, I get buying seeds isn't necessarily future-proofing, but I mean, I literally have a box of them. I have years worth of seeds. I'm not quite at the level yet of like saving seeds from things that we grow, but what's to say that I can't be? It's just a little bit more research and learning a new skill set. I don't know which ones you can save and worth saving, etc. But if you walk into a local hardware store, really any store, you can get seeds pretty much anywhere for super, super cheap. Like 50 cents a pack, 70 cents a pack. So I don't know if I'm ready for seed saving yet, but we got enough stuff here. God forbid anything happens. We can grow stuff inside, we can grow stuff outside, depending on the time of year. And there's actually one other crop grow thing. What is, I don't know. Are they crops? I don't know. There's one other thing that I'm not showing here because they were actually out of stock. And I want to see if I can just do them by myself. And that's potatoes. Potatoes are tremendous. They're about as close to a complete food as you can get in a backyard. It's arguable, but you could survive off of them. You wouldn't want to, but it could be done. Also, we grew them last year, and it was awesome. I mean, who doesn't like French fries out of their own yard? It's a French fry tree. Come on. It's more American than that. I'm actually going to try those, get some organic potatoes, and cut out the eyes and do those, but that's a little later in the year. I don't remember coming across seed potatoes. Not potato seeds, only seed potatoes. We used those last year, worked out well. So in addition to all this stuff, the flavorful and the somewhat fun and somewhat expensive, the potatoes are coming later in the year. So on to the last tray for today is going to be the kale, the butternut squash, and some of the herbs. Let's get them going. All right, so you guys saw me drop butternut squash, kale, carrots, and that last one just came in this unmarked envelope from China. It came in the mail. Those people must be nice, so I'm going to plant it. Where's the harm in that? Just kidding. This is from one of Ashley's friends. It's pink eye purple hulled peas. Try it. What the hey. We got enough going on here for now. That's like, what did I say, like 192 plants gone down. That's good for now. We're going to let these things do their thing for the next couple of weeks, then transplant them over. Is that it for planting? No, we'll do some succession planting. I mean, what good is a dozen carrots going to do you? But it's content for today. It's a chance to do something homesteady when it's freezing out. And I wanted to bring you guys along to show you what we're doing this time of year. I know I made mention in a couple of videos back where there's not a whole lot going on. We're in the doldrums of winter. Now I can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's weird with the temperature, but you got to start thinking this stuff. Last frost, 8 to 10 weeks away. Get these things started. And for the tractor and chainsaw people, just in case you're actually still watching, We're gonna get, like I said, we're gonna get the machine out. We gotta build 2 new large raised garden beds. I'm not moving all that dirt by hand. So where you guys saw us remove the tree stump with neighbor Nick, we're gonna move some of that dirt down and get that into the raised garden beds, kind of level out the garden a little bit. A lot of dirt work, probably gonna be a long weekend. We're gonna be filming that along the way. Secondly, that reminded me, speaking of neighbor Nick, who you met in that aforementioned video, he's doing a lot of the regular stuff. We tend to trade back and forth. He actually has his tomatoes started already. He's got his lettuce started already. He's got a hydroponics setup with a greenhouse going. So a lot of the staple-y type things he's got covered already. If it turns out that he's got a lot more customers and they're just taking all the stuff, even I can grow tomatoes. Not that big of a deal. I got plenty of seeds here. We could start them later on. But I wanted to get these ones in the ground also to make up for the fact that I've never grown a lot of them, or some of them I haven't grown yet. And if I screw them up, it gives me a chance. Time is your friend in this case. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.